off to the middle of the avenue of eternal peace.
Well, all right. Welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. Today, well, we're going to talk about the militarization of the police. Is it necessary? Is it a little excessive? And why do all the federal agencies need their own SWAT teams? That's what I'm really worried about.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to kind of dig deep. Kevin, do you even think that, all this military hardware has a place with the local police? I mean, is that something we need in small town America?
Yeah, I mean, well, I've got my own opinions, but this is for a statement, or this is from an FBI law enforcement bulletin. This is an excerpt of that.
Okay.
Perhaps militarization weakens the community relations necessary for effective policing. The public seems to believe that using tactical equipment, weapons, and other resources appears more closely akin to military operations than domestic law enforcement. So that's what the FBI thinks about it. Um, Honestly, it seems like, you know, a little bit aggressive that law enforcement has automatic weapons and now they're banning bulletproof vests. You know what I mean? It's like, what
Yeah,
are you
for
guys
you.
doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, ban it
Right. You
for
can't have an AR-15, but we can have a full auto,
right.
M4, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw at some protests they had a police tactical armored vehicle, and on top of it
Yes.
was a guy with a belt-fed machine gun. Like, what are you
I
planning
don't
on
know.
doing there? Like, you want to like wipe out 80
Just
people if they get crazy? What are you gonna do?
Exactly. It's like, what are the optics, of that?
Right.
Like, you have to think about that a little bit after, like, not even the optics of right now when you're doing it, but the optics of this is how it looks after, like when you have, 80 people laying in the street sawed in half.
Right.
How does that ever seem like something in America that, you want on the news,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It just seems a little bit over the top. Listen, I'm all for police being able to defend themselves and that sort of stuff, but how often are you getting in machine gun fights that you have to carry them in your car? Like,
Yeah.
how often does that come up?
I,
You got a little
I,
old lady speeding and she doesn't want to pull over because you got an unmarked car and she doesn't trust you. Better ram her off the road.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. That's something I always worry about is like why? What is your purpose? There's no way that your goal is to protect and serve when you're trying to be sneaky and hide who you are.
Right.
Now I understand you're like, "Oh, well, I'm trying to sneak up on the drug dealers," and they all, when you turn on the lights, all the cockroaches run into the
Yeah.
woods. Yeah, like there might
They
be a
don't even
place
use
for that.
those
Like
vehicles
if
for
you want
that.
to do
Yeah.
Yeah, I know if you want to do detective shit, like, a sneaky undercover guy or whatever, that's different, but I don't know. Like I could get, when you're doing a raid, not rolling in with your military vehicles and you're swatted up,
Hmm.
but who knows? So anyway, so this started back. Do you remember President Johnson? I believe he's the one after he was Tricky Dick's vice president, I think.
I thought
I
that
think
was
he was.
Ford. I don't
No, no. But anyway, yeah, no, Ford was elected after Nixon, but he wasn't Nixon's
know. Nixon's guy.
guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's whatever. It doesn't really matter. President Johnson, 67, um, set up. There's a whole documentary called Riotsville that I was watching, and they set up under Johnson. They set up on military bases all these like small town America,
Hmm.
like little shops,
Right.
and they practiced rolling in and kind of rolling over all the little the towns and seeing what that was
Like the
like.
little kid walking his
Um,
dog, run that shit over with a tank.
yeah, pretty much. Now, I do have to point out America as actually has a history of military police happening from way back.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't realize this,
Right.
but it turns out we used to have military troops right in major cities. You might be thinking of Boston.
New York. Yeah.
In Boston, Massachusetts, I think is the one
Yep.
that had. I think you said New York.
Yep.
Um, they had some kind of
Yeah.
military, and I would be referring to the redcoats. And that was actually something that we used to oppose as a
Yeah. We
society.
didn't care for
That was
armed
not.
assholes running around in our
And
cities.
then you're wait, didn't just recently we have some kind of marathon in Boston? And then all of a sudden there were more military
Mm-hmm.
police things
Right.
going on. I mean, again, it was, armored vehicles, guys in turrets with, with guns pointed out. And if you looked out your window, they were pointing the gun at you. And,
Mm-hmm.
remember there were all the people, oh, well, they randomly shot in my bedroom. And, the guy thought it was funny because he's like, yeah, they actually shot through my apartment and took out the monitor that he was looking at on his computer. And he's like, but I had gotten up to go get coffee. He's like, I could have been sitting there. They were lucky this guy was a stoner,
Yeah.
or they would have had a nice lawsuit. But the guy was like, it was crazy. And you're just like, yeah, that's
Wild
great.
shit
But
is
he's
always
a law
happening.
lawyer.
Yeah.
Just like,
Far out, bro.
but that's the thing, so like way back, right? So I seriously though, we started with the red coats and we were like, we can't have this soldiers marching around. And then now it seems like we're like totally at peace with it.
Right.
You know what
It's
I'm saying?
fine.
Like I understand that like us now in, small town America, you don't see it. But in New York City, like I've gone to New York City, you see guys just standing around with, full auto machine guns and like tactical helmets, vests with, magazines and the whole deal. And it's just like you're in Iraq. And I don't know, Kevin. I mean, maybe you've been there more recently than me, but when I was there probably about 4 years ago, I mean, I've been in New York more recently,
Right. At the
but when I
city.
was in the city about 4 years ago, on at least every corner was somebody standing there with a machine gun.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that since I've been in Israel. I mean, that's a
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, go to Manhattan. There's almost as many law enforcement officers as there are people walking around. It's crazy how many
it's
are out there.
and they're everywhere. They're just
Everywhere.
like standing on the corner and just like eyeballing you like you're a big threat. And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, really, dude? Like, what the fuck? Like, I understand they're not mowing people down, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, it's a show
Because
of force, right? You better fucking
exactly.
behave. You better behave
Right.
yourself. Because look what we can do.
Exactly. And then, it's how does that come in? So there's basically we had passed this way back that posse comitatus, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had talked about it was 1878, and it basically said whoever in this case under any circumstance expressly authorized by the Constitution or Act of Congress willfully uses any part of the Army or the Air Force as a posse comitatus or otherwise to execute the laws shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. Now, the idea is they were like, we don't want any of that shit with the redcoats standing in the
Right.
street. Now, I understand what we're talking about is not the military on the street corners. We're talking about the police. But when the federal government is funding and I want to say controlling the police
Mm-hmm.
because they're choosing basically what it is,
Right. They get to
hey, we'll give
choose
you a
who
bunch
do.
of we'll give you a bunch of free shit, but that means you got to enforce some of our shit that we care about. And,
Mm-hmm. Right.
if you adopt these laws and if you kind of respect our authority, then we're going to be down for, going and doing that bullshit and giving you good stuff. So it all came about. There was, basically, I think it started under Bush Senior. They came up with the 1033 Act. and it basically made free decommissioned military vehicles available to any law enforcement agency as long as they paid for the shipping.
Mhm.
All right. And, that still can kind of be a little bit of a budget thing, but, people see military hardware and they get excited. Who doesn't want to drive a Hummer around town? I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Kinda.
it's a little
Yeah.
hard on the streets, but, hey, um, so then and that was in 1981. Well, 81 is Reagan.
Right.
Um,
Well, Reagan was pretty amped up on that war on drugs,
right.
and that kind
So
of ramped things up.
it all kind of came, each one with a war, right? The first
Mhm.
one was the war on drugs. Then they had the war on crime under Clinton, I think. And then we had the war on terror under Bush too.
Mhm.
And all these wars that we were fighting somehow escalated, what we were doing. So anyway, the 1033, Bill Clinton expanded it. So both Republican and Democrat. Basically, Bill Clinton did it. Remember that North Hollywood bank robbery?
Yeah.
And the guys were like full armored up and they were in those, like ridiculous suits and they're
Uh-huh.
just shooting machine guns at cops like crazy. And I believe there's some rumors of maybe cops being involved in that kind
There
of
were some rumors.
rumors. I don't know. Um, and so, he billed it as let's bring back life-saving gears. Life-saving gear. Sorry,
Right.
not gears. Then believe it or not, Trump doubled down on this.
All
Oh no,
right.
wait. No, sorry. Trump did. But Barack Obama said, I'm tired of black people being shot and tore up from the militarization of the police. And a Democrat actually said, whoa, let's put the brakes on this. Now,
Mhm.
I gotta say, traditionally, law and order is kind of a Republican thing.
Mhm.
Like, hard line law and
Right.
order
Right.
is a Republican thing. So that's not too out of character, but it just seems like, we were against the Patriot Act, as Democrats were all against it. And then when they got in office, they're like, oh yeah, we got to
Yeah, no.
renew that
We're
shit.
gonna keep that.
And Republicans were down for doing it in the
Right.
beginning, So
Right.
it's all over the place.
You don't hear about that in the news, but that has to be renewed like every 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never
And they
talk about it, but they keep signing it back into law. Everybody
right.
was up in arms about it at first when it was Bush proposing it, but every president since then just keeps it going.
Hey, Patriot Act. We got to keep America safe. We're saving lives.
That's right.
So that was the big thing. Then they so Trump brought it back and then Biden's kind of, he doesn't know what's going on. So, I mean, it's, whatever.
Yeah.
Since
I can't. I have a hard time even holding Biden responsible for anything he does, because it seems like he
blame the
isn't even
guy.
fucking aware of what's happening around him.
Dude, I am so confused about what's going on in government. We got Mitch McConnell having the stroke on camera.
Yeah, what was
We
that?
got,
That was wild. And Feinstein, zoning
right?
out, doesn't
Her
know where the
zoning
fuck
out.
she's at.
Kamala Harris never knows where she is or what's going on.
Yeah, but I think she's working at full capacity. That's not like impairment from old age. That's just how she functions normally.
Yeah, okay. All right. But it's rough. But anyway, sorry to get sidetracked. We try not to get too crazy. Since 1990, the DoD, that would be the Department of Defense for you non-military types, transferred $6 billion in military hardware to local law enforcements. Now, the police seem to act like it's like a counterinsurgency, though. This is why I get worried. They said that since 1982 to now, the SWAT has increased no-knock raids by 1,400%. So maybe people are more messed up. I mean, it does seem like the world is more of a crazy place. I mean, I kind of get that law enforcement has to step up their game. Like, I mean, seriously, human trafficking now versus trafficking in the 70s or so. Maybe we just didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You
I
think?
remember
Yeah.
when I was a kid, my mom always telling me like, things are so messed up today. People would never acted like this. This is crazy. When I was a
Right.
kid, and then later on, a couple years later, she told me a story about this kid that lived next door to her, and she had pet rabbits, and the kid came over and just pulled all the rabbits apart. And
Who
then
hasn't seen that play out?
I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of something crazy like that happening in my life. You're talking about crazy kids today are crazy,
Right.
but that wasn't, I mean, that sort of stuff, you know, now we have perverts and pedophiles. Back then you were like, keep your kids away from Ricky. He's a little bit, keep the kids away from that house, you know?
Right.
Now you got, now you got laws and, people are getting arrested for that
Right.
shit, or you just swept it under the rug. Oh, you got fingered? It's no big deal. Just walk it off, kid.
It's inappropriate. So that's the thing my wife always points out. She's like, yeah, there always used to be like Uncle Pete. He's a little weird,
Right.
and the kids would be like, I don't like hugging him.
Yeah.
And they're like, just do it. You have to. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, and my wife's like, don't make kids hug people. It's wrong. And
Yep.
that's kind of the world. It's always been shady. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there have been studies, and they basically say the studies say there's two different ones that I read, and they both say, well, there's no effect, good or bad. And I don't really buy that, honestly. I feel like once you suit up the police like they're soldiers, I think there's some kind of I'm a tactical warrior kind of thing going on in their head,
Right.
and they feel,
They get amped up about that
emboldened.
stuff,
Because
man.
I gotta say, I mean, you and I were both in the military,
Right.
and when you're all like suited up and you're wearing I mean, I know after September 11th, we were wearing bulletproof vests all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
shotguns and helmets and God knows what
Right.
all the time. And when you're running around like that, you're definitely like, all right, I have all this gear. I'm ready to,
Ready to party.
ready to party. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something to that. I don't think it's just, you know, eh, I think there's something real there that makes you kind of like adrenaline and amped up. And I mean, the more you wear it, it does become part of your everyday. Like, I
Right.
get that. Like, I carry a concealed handgun. And at first you're like, oh, I have a gun and whatever. And I agree. It does become day to day where you kind of like even forget it's there.
Right.
It does become old hat. Like, I get
Mm-hmm.
that. I understand that's, a fair argument. But when you got these guys rolling out in the big armored thing with the turrets, like, I mean, it comes back down to that after that Boston Marathon, when they were tracking down terror, it was crazy.
Oh
They
yeah.
were insane the way they thought they could treat the public and, do things. And they're like, martial law, doesn't matter. We can do anything we want. We're just going to
Mm-hmm.
kill people. And if you come out in the street, we're just going to shoot you down because you could be the one guy we're looking for. It's so
Mm-hmm.
probable,
Right.
and I don't care if you're a 7-year-old girl who's, chasing your tricycle, whatever.
Uh-huh.
I feared for my life. It was insane.
Yeah. And it
And I
wasn't that long
understand.
ago. I remember that video going around of um military police. Was it military? I think it was National Guard walking down the street and a couple of kids sitting on the front porch filming them. And
Yeah.
one of the guys pointed at him and they just started shooting at the fucking house.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, they don't
They're
care.
sitting on their porch. They're not like, they're not out rioting and things, but whatever, dude, gotta get amped up.
They get crazy, and it's out of control. Now again, there are some good that comes out of it. Like, dude, I'm totally cool with cops wearing bulletproof vests. All right. I don't have a
Hmm.
problem with that. Like, give them a little edge in the fight. Now, do
Hmm.
I think you should outlaw bulletproof vests for civilians? No, I don't. I think that I should have that option too. You do you, right? And
Right.
you're in a job where the odds of a cop getting shot are way more likely than I don't know about way more likely, but than your average citizen. Is what I
Right.
was gonna say. I'm not even sure that's actually true, but I feel like they're going into harm, right?
Right.
So they do, it's kind of like a firefighter. The odds of them encountering a fire are a lot more likely than me encountering a fire, right?
Right.
That's fair. Um, People call the police when people are shooting at each other. Now,
Right.
mind you, they usually get there long after that shooting stopped and the people are gone,
Hmm.
but they still get called.
They still come.
So, right. So they are going to be exposed to shooting and that kind of thing. So I'm with you. A bulletproof vest, I would wear one all day long if I'm a policeman. I
Hmm.
understand that. I think that's reasonable. And again, maybe I don't, if I'm policeman in Mayberry, that would be an
Right.
old town for old people.
Yeah, I don't
If
think
you guys don't know
most of
anymore,
our
no.
listeners probably don't remember
Don't even know
Mayberry.
Mayberry? Alright. But, yeah, old-timey, right? If kids are walking around with fishing poles, although I do see those fishing videos on YouTube all the time where somehow you can carry an assault rifle if you're fishing. Like, whoever wrote this law is, like, some kind of
Yeah, I
wacko,
don't remember where that is. It's a certain state. I think it might
Florida
be
or
Florida. Yeah, I mean,
Florida's
all
pretty
the crazy shit happens in
yeah,
Florida, so
yeah.
that's a safe bet.
You keep seeing these confrontations. I know them all over the place, but you've seen them in your
Hmm.
YouTube shorts. And the
Right.
police are like, "Why are you carrying a machine gun at the creek?" Well, I'm fishing, so I'm allowed. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like that. That seems excessive.
Right.
You think the big one, the great white's going to come up out of there, and you might have to,
Hmm. Yeah, but they're doing it
I
just to
don't know.
piss
That just
police
seems
off, and I
crazy.
appreciate that. Yeah, if you don't use your
You can
rights,
get
you're gonna
behind that.
lose your rights, right? Use it or lose it.
That's true. That
I
that is
fully
fair.
fully support that kind of weird activism, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Police don't seem to like it. Um,
Yeah.
so here's the new one that I'm getting excited about. Little bit crazy, little bit dystopian. Um, but the robots,
Tell
the
me.
the killer robots, right? Police robot death squads. Um, the San
I did see
Francisco board.
RoboCop. Is it the same thing?
It's similar to that, yeah.
Okay. All right.
The San Francisco Board of Supervisors voted 8-3 in November 2021 to permit police to use robots armed with explosives.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's an unstoppable robot and it's going to follow you until it catches you and then it's going to blow up. Good luck. Good luck with that. Bringing Skynet into the present. I mean, this is
Yeah.
about the time for Skynet, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, China's program is called Skynet because
Is
they
it?
plagiarize everything, so they're like, "Fuck it."
They got to do that. They got the
Yeah,
Harry Potter books that are all plagiarized. All that stuff. They love it. All right.
they're like where they watch everybody on the street and their whole grading system and all that with your social credit score. That's called Skynet.
Oh,
So
is it? Nice.
hey,
Nice. Good. The Dallas police became the first to kill a suspect with a robot in
mm,
2016. Do you remember that?
I do not.
Some
Tell me.
dude went crazy with a sniper rifle and started shooting cops. And then more cops showed up and he shot them. He
Wow.
killed 5 cops and injured nine police officers. And they sent in the explosive robot. He went in there, found the room he was in, went in there and blew up. So I mean, exciting stuff, man. They call them now. What do they call them? Loitering munitions. That's what they're talking about over in Ukraine. They have these drones that just kind of fly around with grenades and explosives and wait until they see somebody and bomb them. Police are gonna be up to that soon too, man. Those robots are just gonna be running around with bombs on them just in case something pops off. And NYPD has the new DigiDog. That's an exciting one, made by Boston Dynamics, right?
Okay.
It's
Now,
quadrupedal robot.
okay.
Looks
Now
kind of
there
like a
is a
dog.
a dog one that I've seen that is available. They say for pre-order that has a flamethrower on it.
Nice.
So, hey, you got to keep classy. And what's cool, dude, not only they have the robot available for pre-order, but they actually have I'll see if I can find the website and put it in the link on the bottom cuz yeah, we were all talking about it at work. It's funny, I can't bring up gun websites, but I can order robot dogs with flamethrowers at work. So,
Do the
whatever.
flames come out of their mouth, or is there like a backpack type deal?
It's
Like,
like a
how's that work?
backpack, but it's right at the top of their head though, so it's ready to go. But what they do have, it's about 14 or 1800 bucks. I'm not sure which, but you can buy the flamethrower that attaches to your drone. Now the
Mm-hmm.
1400 or whatever doesn't include the drone. You have to put your own drone and then
Okay.
attach it to it. So,
Mm-hmm.
you might be in it for 2500. All right? But
Right.
to have a drone flamethrower, and dude, it wasn't like that bullshit Elon Musk 3-foot
Right.
flamethrower. This thing was like 20, 30 feet.
It really.
And it just straight gasoline, dude. It was
Uh.
like, yeah, just fill that thing up. You're ready to go. I'll see if I can get a link and put it in the show notes
Yeah.
because it
Well, I
was
mean,
pretty
that's good. I
exciting
mean,
at work. All the guys were, pretty excited about it.
yeah. How long before the police have that one? That's good. I mean, sometimes you want to arrest somebody. Sometimes you want to shoot
Actually,
them.
in
Sometimes you
Paris,
have to put fire on that person, though.
yes,
You have
in
to light them on
Paris,
fire.
the police actually did
Mm-hmm.
flamethrower some guy, and they kind of set his face on fire, and that didn't end well. Yeah. Now
For
they're
the police or
saying
the guy whose face melted?
well, they're saying that it's because who knew that using a taser and pepper spray together would become a flamethrower?
Right. I do remember that. Now that you mention it, I do remember that happening. They
That
accidentally lit that guy on fire.
it happens,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're like, shit, the taser's not working. Let's,
Yeah. I mean,
step up our game.
they have to put that alcohol in the pepper spray. It's like 90% of the juice. It's what keeps it potent. You know.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I have seen is people are always like, "Oh, why do police need the 40 millimeter cannon?" I don't have a problem with those, to be honest.
Which
Um, these are like the little grenade launchers. You have like the 6-cylinder
right.
roll, and they
Yeah.
whatever. So those are used with like foam rounds, or they're used with tear gas.
Right.
And I would rather see that deployed than seeing, um, you know, shooting people, right?
Yeah. Machine
So,
guns. Right. But also, you can use that. United States can use that on their own citizens legally, but they can't use that in war. That's
well, that
against
would be
the
just
rules of war.
insane, right?
It's okay
That
for
would be
your own
insane.
civilians to do that, but you can't do that. On the battlefield.
Do you know? I was watching a documentary the other day, and it was only like 5 years ago. We destroyed all our sarin nerve gas,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, and it was like we had like 500,000 rounds. And they were,
What?
big, yeah, like 5-inch, round canister things of sarin nerve gas. And I'm like, you never know when you need that. Like, you got to
Right.
keep it.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yeah, we just had it ready. And I'm like, well, yeah, Saddam's so bad. We got to go after him. Yeah, I mean, we
Right.
have that shit.
We have it. That's fine. That's
But
different.
we're responsible, good people.
Right.
Yeah, more and more. Again, I'm going to get off topic. You're going to have to bear with me for about 3 seconds here. But so there was Gaddafi. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I'm going to sell oil backed by gold instead. And then all of a sudden there was a big uprising. The U.S. enforced a no-fly zone, and we took that guy out.
Right. You realize he got fucked to death with a knife, right?
Yeah,
That's how he went out. It's
which
not a good
happens
no.
sometimes. Yeah, no.
And
And
then what did Hillary Clinton say? We came, we saw, he died. Ha ha
yeah,
ha ha ha. That's my Hillary Clinton
just
impression.
like the Wicked Witch, huh? Oh man. And then Saddam was like, hey, I'm gonna back back oil, and I'm gonna sell it only in euros to get off the American dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And then mysteriously, Saddam was responsible for that whole Twin Tower thing. And he was like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was gonna happen. They didn't even tell me. And they're like, whatever, just
Now
you're
you're
going
done.
down.
You're done, bro.
And then Putin, like we would be involved in the Ukraine war, except Putin was like, hey, we're only going to sell oil backed by gold instead of the US dollar.
Can't do
And they
that
were
shit.
like, oh, he's invading Ukraine. Stop him.
Yeah.
I was like,
They didn't give one
No.
single shit when Russia annexed Crimea, right?
Whatever.
But now all of a sudden it's a
Hey,
fucking serious
this
threat.
guy wants to get off the dollar for gold. That's going to
Uh-huh.
be a problem. So I don't know. I just think that keeps kind of playing out. Now, there was one more thing that I did want to touch on with this, and that's the federal government having SWAT teams. Now, have you seen this? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not like, why can't, like, I get why the FBI would have SWAT teams.
Right.
Makes sense, right? They're law
Mhm.
enforcement, they're doing raids, they're going after kidnappers and sex traffickers maybe in the US, or I don't know what they do. I get why the ATF would have SWAT teams cuz they bust in people's doors. "Oh, you bought 3 guns. I'm coming in."
Right.
Whatever. They need a SWAT team for that cuz they're
Right.
scared little children and they need to shoot dogs and all right, I get that. But
10,000. 10,000, Chuck.
Kevin,
That's how
why?
many dogs were killed by law enforcement last year. 10,000 dogs. That's like 30 dogs a day they're shooting.
That's not pretty.
We're going to run out of dogs soon, man.
It's lucky they breed. That's all I can say. Now, but then I would say, well, Kevin, or even the DEA, I'll give you. But the EPA, does the EPA need its own SWAT team?
Yes.
Like, I feel like, hey, that guy's poaching a deer. Get the SWAT guys out here quick. But maybe, like, you need to just call the local police to help you with that.
Mhm.
Like, do you really need your own SWAT team for the EPA?
Right.
Or let me go even further. NASA? Does
NASA has a
NASA?
SWAT team?
NASA has a SWAT team.
All right.
Department of Energy?
Mhm.
You never know. Amtrak has their own SWAT teams. And you're saying, well, Chuck, that's a private company. That's not the federal government. Turns out they work and respond to terror attacks and get funding from the federal government. So I would
Nice.
say it. Now, Parks Police, Kevin, when you drop litter at the national park and they're like, hey, this is an important monument for whatever. SWAT team. Bam.
SWAT
There
team.
they are.
All right.
Now there are the Department of Energy in their defense. They say guards nuclear assets. Maybe.
The
Like,
Department of Energy, listen, it's a poorly kept secret that the Department of Energy is the most evil department in the government. You think it's the Department of Defense, you think it's the CIA. The Department of Energy is the one that's coming up with all weird, crazy, fucked up stuff. Death rays and things like that. If you ever find out the government is operating death rays, EPA
they're
did
out.
it.
EPA did it.
Yep.
And that's the thing too, the IRS, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just bad, dude. There is so much involvement and craziness, and the government is just getting bigger and bigger.
Wait a minute.
All
The
right, go
IRS
ahead.
has a SWAT team.
IRS, you
Hunter
never know.
Biden didn't pay $1 million in taxes, and they
And they
didn't
didn't
deploy the SWAT.
suspend.
Who is out there that they're sending that SWAT team after if it's not
Remember they
him?
went to like Trump or somebody. Who was the guy? There was one. It was while Trump was in office that they went and raided with the IRS SWAT team.
Oh, I don't remember it.
I don't know. Whatever.
Getting
But
wild though. They're getting
bottom
crazy.
line, we don't need, like, I think when you escalate it with the full on, and I get like keeping police safe, like that's cool. I'm good with that. I mean, shit. I feel like we could up armor the cop cars a little bit. We could
Yeah,
make them
that's
a little
fine. I have
beefier.
no
I
problem
could
with
get
that.
behind that.
Well, I mean, they have armored personnel carriers now
Right.
from this, so I mean, they're all set
And
there.
that's like one of the arguments for why we don't need the why they're not as effective. They said it has no difference on crime either way. They
Right.
said like things like the armored cars are really never deployed.
They
I
just
mean,
have them.
they're deployed. They just have them because it's
Okay.
like shit. Who can afford the gas, right? It's like, yeah, maybe not.
Uh,
But when you're rolling it out after the Boston thing, and I understand the Boston thing was a big deal, but I think that's like the perfect example after the Boston Marathon is the perfect example of why it's wrong.
mhm.
Because I mean, it's great they caught that guy, and I mean, I'm cool with that. Like,
Right.
I mean, I'm cool with the idea that hey, at least we got the bad guy, and I think had they not done the full on lockdown, the guy probably would have got away.
Right. Right.
But
They
it's
seemed like they got away for a good long while. You know, it was
yeah,
it was a few days before they finally
right.
pinned him
And I
down in
feel like they
that
could have
boat.
slipped out of the country. And for the guy to be like, I have to hide under a boat in somebody's backyard, like under
Hmm.
a tarp, that's a serious manhunt that had that guy that paranoid. And they
Right.
still found him there.
And they still found him there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you hid under that trash can. You knew we were gonna look there.
Right.
I don't care that it's a giant city and whatever. Nope. You're not getting away. We're going under every trash can. I feel
Hmm.
like if he'd held up in somebody's house and kind of
Right.
like, maybe taking the family hostage, be like, look, I'm going to hide in the basement, and
You might have been better off. Yeah.
he might have got away with
Cutting
it.
the
But
phones, taking the cell phones. He might have been able. I mean, I think he was bleeding to death at that point. You know what I mean? They
yeah,
were able to, when they got him, they stitched him back up, but he wasn't in good
he
shape.
was in bad shape. Well, you got to find the nurse and stay at her house. I seen it
Right.
in movies. It always happens.
It always
Oh,
happens
you're
in
a
movies.
nurse. You got to patch me up. Well,
Hmm.
strange coincidence. Now, I don't know. But that's the thing. I feel like when you step up the armor and the everything with the police, it just escalates everything. Now, like I said, I'm down for bulletproof vests. I'm down for cops, being able to protect themselves. I'm even down for like tear gas because, to be honest, it does save lives. That we can send tear gas in through the window instead of sending cops in to, and shooting everybody up. When people come out coughing, instead of me going in with the full auto machine gun, that's probably better.
Right.
I'm just saying.
What's
I don't want people to die. I want things to work out good, but
You're a disappointment, Chuck. What's your opinion on unmarked cars? I've been seeing those all over the place now. Unmarked
they're
police
everywhere.
cars.
I
I
am
mean,
I
is
am
it good?
anti.
Like, if you're looking for a police officer now, you can't
Yeah,
find them.
you can't find them. And even so, well, I don't do that kind of thing. You're like, wait, you don't help people? No, we don't
Yeah,
do
no,
that.
that
And
serve
you're like
that was bullshit. Uh,
yeah, protect and serve. I want every police car to say to protect and serve. Didn't they have it in RoboCop? Like he had the big assault thing, and then it was like to protect and serve on the. They had an
that
armored
sounds right. I mean,
vehicle,
I
and
haven't seen RoboCop in a long
I
time.
know.
Those
I
were
feel
good
like I got to
movies, man.
revisit that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a classic.
Uh,
Um,
it says here, this is from an article I read on this. It says, well, the revenue collected must be astounding. So too is the ill will generated by such tactics. That's talking about unmarked cars. So it's really good at like giving out tickets and making money
okay.
for the town. It's not really good for public safety. That
Yeah.
doesn't really help out at all. If anything, it makes it worse. So, I mean, what's really important though, isn't it? I mean, isn't that really what cops are for at this point? Is generating money? You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody goes to jail anymore. You just have to pay fines for everything.
How many small towns like that's their whole thing is the cop that all the town's money comes from the cop sitting it where it goes from like 65 to 35 right as
Right.
you roll through town
Mm-hmm.
and on the main highway to
Yeah. I mean, there are specifically places where they lower the speed limit just so they can collect like lower than what it would normally be posted at for that designation of road, but they can get a bunch of money like that. They just sit there and wait for people to fuck up.
yeah.
That's why I can't ever get any place. I always feel like the person in front of me is scared and driving 10 miles under the speed limit because they never know when it's going to fucking change and there's going to be a cop sitting there waiting.
Yep. No, and that's right. I mean, it's people don't know. It's crazy. Like I don't know. It just is disturbing that you really don't get the protect and serve feeling
Mhm.
from local
No,
law enforcement.
no, and civil asset forfeiture. That's another one that makes me
Yeah.
crazy. If you have $10,000 in your car and police pull you over and find it, they just get to keep that. You don't have to like
It
have
doesn't
committed
make
a
any
crime or
sense.
anything.
Yeah.
That's
Then
just theirs. That's
I don't
just
know.
free money. And they can use that for buying margarita machines or automatic weapons or whatever they want. That's just theirs. They seize that Ferrari, just put police on it, And there you go. Some
Police
lucky asshole
Ferrari.
gets to drive the Ferrari every day.
Yeah. But I mean, why wouldn't you really? I mean, I
Mhm.
want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be that guy? You don't want a Ferrari? Come on, Kevin.
Yeah.
Hey, what if we tint out the windows, huh? That's what I never get is we can't have the tinted out windows. I know in the state where I am, the police for their own personal vehicles can have it tinted out. Like
Smart. But I
all
mean, can't they just speed and do whatever they want anyway? I
they
always
do.
thought that was the rule. If you're a police officer and you pull over another police officer, sorry, have a good day. That's how
Yeah,
always thought
I've
it
seen
worked.
a few of those videos on YouTube lately where they're like, you were doing 95 in a 35. And they're like, no, not in my town. Like you always get the cocky sheriff who's like, I'm the
Uh,
sheriff. You're, you know. But so yeah, no, you're not wrong. Now, I did see Kevin. There is some, I think that's pretty much what we got on militarization of the police. But I did see some other concerning news going on this week.
oh, what do you got?
And I think if I can find the videos, here we go. The UN has gotten to the bottom of it. Turns out there is no more global warming. Global warming is over.
It's over? Done?
Right? Here is the head of the UN. He's got something for you. Take a listen.
And for scientists, it is unequivocal. Humans are to blame. All this is entirely consistent with predictions and repeated warnings. The only surprise is the speed of the change. Climate change is here, it is terrifying, and it is just the beginning. The era of global warming has ended, the era of global boiling has arrived. The air is...
There you go. It's global boiling now.
All right. Clearing things up for me.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
always wondering what's going on. Turns out, and you heard him in the beginning, he's like, it's completely from people. And that's the only reason the planet's getting warmer. There's no debate. No, it's already been decided by science. I mean, he didn't say that, but that's we know. He's like, it's clear.
Yeah.
I
That guy doesn't look like a supervillain, but he sounds just like one, man.
He
He
did
sounds
sound like
just
a
like a Bond
supervillain.
villain. He needs a couple of scars on his face and lose that gut, but I think he's got potential.
If he shaves his head and gets a creepy bald cat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, he's in. He's in. Yeah, that is true. That is true. It is the cow farts. I've heard that. I think Reagan said that.
Reagan blamed the cow
farts. Cow farts cause more methane than humans do, but I mean, I guess we're the ones raising the cows. I mean, if you want to think about it though. What are the species that are going extinct? Like Siberian tigers and, lions and shit. There's 13 billion cows on the planet. So if you want your species to be successful, all you have to do is be delicious.
Is that what it is? Good one, sure.
That's the trick.
We'll put fences around you. We'll stay up and monitor for
we'll
predators.
keep you safe.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. That sounds right. So anyway, that's what I got. We got more exciting stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. So anything you want to hear about, we'd love to hear it in the comments. You can also email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. You can get badass gear like this awesome t-shirt I'm wearing. It says Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, or my fancy coffee mug. You can go to preppingbadass.com, or you can, I don't know, just send us cash if you want. I mean, hey, we're down for whatever, right? Kevin, we're good. We just take it. So anyway, no, we appreciate you guys listening, man. It's awesome. You help grow the channel. You help, keep us going, keep us busy. And we hopefully provide you with good entertainment and, some knowledge that you might help you prepare for bad things to come. So with that, I would say stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week.